Attorney General Eric Holder seems to be dodging questions about what the Obama administration is doing to handle recent terror threats and whether terror suspects should get Miranda rights.
I think we have to give serious consideration to at least modifying that public safety exception, and that's one of the things that I think we're going to be reaching out to Congress to do, to come up with a proposal that is both constitutional, but that is also relevant to our time and the threat that we now face.
So is he passing the buck off to Congress? Joining us now for a fair and balanced debate, our political panel. We're joined by Jay Feely, place kicker for the Arizona Cardinals. All right. KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst, and Bernard Whitman, former pollster for President Clinton. Good morning to you, panel.
Good morning.
All right, Jay. So people know you as a football player. Now you're going to be a political analyst just for a couple of moments. What do you make of Eric Holder, our Attorney General, coming out yesterday and seemingly having a completely different tune?
Well, I think it's interesting because I think the Obama administration in general has been reluctant to call a spade, to talk about terrorism in clear and defined terms, and define who it is as the enemy of our country, and what we want to do, where we want to go after terrorism. And now they've decided to try to point out and look at Pakistan and decide that we're going to try to be more specific. And I think that's a good shift. I think we needed to have that sooner. And I think that one of the things that George Bush did well was he was not afraid to say who he thought we needed to define clearly as the enemies of our country.
KT, this is something you've studied for your whole life. Why? The question I'm asking this morning is, why the sudden shift?
It's a wake-up call. We have now had 4 terrorist incidents in the last year under Obama's watch. And you can blame him or not blame him, but what's happened is that the thing that everybody has been scared of since 9/11, homegrown terrorists, they're now here. They're hard to find. And the Obama administration's narrative on all of this was it was really the Bush administration's fault. They overreacted. They caused a lot of countries and had people who kind of came after us. Well, now that's changed. Now it's not just that there were lone wolves, bad guys. All of these guys had connections back to Pakistan, to terrorist organizations. It's now a worldwide war. It's not just an overseas contingency operation and man-caused disasters.
So, Bernard, could it be that suddenly the Obama administration has realized that this 18 months of talking nice to the Muslim world didn't change the fact that there are still people out there, jihadists, who want to kill us?
I think that's a vast oversimplification. I think what it shows is that the administration and the law enforcement agencies that are engaged in this fight are learning and growing as we move forward. Clearly, Shahzad is giving information. He did so after he was Mirandized. Having said that, I still think that we need to get more clarity from Congress as to the public safety exemption. But I think what this whole thing shows is that we are, as we extract new information and employ new technologies in the fight against terror, we are going to change our position. We're going to expand various avenues of investigation. And it shows that we're actually progressing as a nation. The fact that we were able to catch this guy and pull him off a plane 53 hours after he drove in a car into Times Square to blow it up, to me, is an extraordinary achievement.
All right, stick around, panel, because this is what you're going to be talking about next. Remember when Eric Holder called the United States a nation of cowards for not speaking more frankly about race? Well, he talked frankly about race yesterday and how it relates to the immigration law in Arizona. The panel will weigh in on that. Last February, Eric Holder, the Attorney General, called the United States a nation of cowards about not speaking more frankly about race. Well, yesterday, he talked frankly about race again and how it relates to the immigration law in Arizona. Let's listen to this.
I don't think it's racial. I don't think it's racist in its motivation, but I think the concern I have is how it will be perceived and how it perhaps could be enacted, how it could be carried out. I think you potentially get on a slippery slope where people will be picked on because of how they look as opposed to what they have done. And that is, I think, something that we have to try to avoid at all costs.
We continue now with our political panel. All right, Bernard. So Eric Holder seemed to be taking a step back there, not actually saying that he believes that this law would be racist, but that it could be a slippery slope.
Yeah, I don't believe the law is inherently racist, but there's absolutely no question in my mind that in the enforcement of this law, you are going to see a huge amount of racial profiling. The law requires law enforcement to stop someone if they have a suspicion that the individual is in the country illegally. You're basically giving carte blanche to cops to stop every person that sort of looks Mexican and demand immigration papers. And the truth is, it's unconstitutional. The U.S. government has the sole responsibility for providing security for the border and immigration. I think the law is mean-spirited, meant to create havoc, and it's certainly going to be overturned.
Wait a minute. Jay, you live in Arizona now, or at least you play for the Arizona Cardinals.
I am living there. Moving my family there.
So here you're probably hearing about this issue nonstop. But can they really stop people, as Bernard says, because they simply look like they might be illegal, or don't they have to?
No, it's no different
they have
than
to have a reason to stop.
It's no different than any law and any just stopping of the police. They have to have probable cause. And Bernard, I think we have to be very careful when we throw around the term racist, and even talking about a law and whether it's racist, because that's such a loaded term. You know, I think the police get a negative light when you do that, and the lawmakers do as well. It's a problem that exists in those border states. It's a problem for the police officers, for our school systems, for the healthcare system. There's so many ramifications, and it really trickles down that the federal government hasn't done a good enough job.
Yeah.
And now you've made the impetus, placed it on the states, and made them try and go out there and fix this problem. And
state's desperate.
we have
desperate.
to figure out a way to fix the problems.
Okay, well, here's
so
how you fix the
ramifications.
problem. This is a no-brainer. Seal the border. Separate out the immigration issue right now, because nobody agrees on that one. Seal the border first, and we can do it. It just costs a little money and the technology. And yet Janet Napolitano canceled it a couple of weeks ago.
And she was the former governor of Arizona.
Where she poo-pooed the whole notion of a border fence. Look, nobody in the country wants an open border, so let's just seal the border first. We can all agree on that. Fix it, and then start peeling back the onion. You know, what are you going to do with the illegal immigrants who are already here? You can't keep them all. You can't send them all back. So let's start peeling them back. The ones who are convicted felons, no thanks. Send them home.
Even if we could do that, it would take years, and we cannot simply ignore the fact that we have a lot of illegal immigrants here and come up with a comprehensive solution to what to do with the individuals who are here.
Did nothing about it.
It would take months.
I agree.
Go by quickly.
But Bernard's right. We need a comprehensive solution.
But
not
first,
just one
do the
piece.
one thing you can do.
You have to, though, understand that it's such an emotional issue. And I think that's why there's such a response in Arizona, because you're talking about families, and you're talking really about generations.
Right.
You know, because it's the implications on all the
when I was in the Reagan administration, that was the plan. Okay, you're going to seal the border and then grant amnesty to who was here. Well, we granted the amnesty. We never sealed the border. As a result, that border's been open. There have millions and millions of more people have
and
come
you would
in.
admit
First seal it.
granting amnesty was a mistake, because we created an incentive for future generations.
Because we never sealed the border.
And now
Once you seal the border,
we have universal health care, which is going to create more people coming.
From place kicker to politician.
There you go.
Check out Jay Feely. All right, one final question for you. What is more stressful? Kicking that final field goal in overtime or being on this curvy couch?
Well, Gretchen, you and KT are a lot more pretty than the offensive line, so I say,
that was a layup.
All right, a lot of sports analogies there. Panel, great discussion today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well done.
Utah Senator.